Hello, everybody. Good afternoon and good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am here with a very special guest today. I am here with John of the Hungarian Hex Community Podcast. John, how are you today?
Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm very well, thank you. I hope everybody is having a fantastic day today.
Absolutely. I'm very happy to interview individuals from all over the world that really can give us perspective on Hexagon communities outside of America in countries that maybe you wouldn't expect a Hex community
Yeah.
to be so large. So I'm grateful to interview you today and discuss the Hungarian community of Hexagons. And I want to ask you, how'd you get into the Hex community? Like, why'd you decide to join this ecosystem? Like, what was the reason behind it?
Okay, so I got into crypto in March 2021. So I'm fairly new to crypto still, but throughout my research and at the beginning of my crypto journey, I haven't heard about Hex at all. As usual, gate-kept, isn't it? But I was looking at only American and UK-based YouTubers. I wasn't looking at Hungarian YouTubers at all in the crypto community. And then in November 2021, I started watching one specific Hungarian YouTuber. I hope you don't mind if I mention his name. It's the Decentralized Finance Hungary YouTube channel.
Cool.
And then he mentioned Hex. And then I started to have a look at the background, Richard Hart, the founder, obviously, and what the crypto has done. And then I realized the community behind it and the power of the community. And so this all just sold me Hex straight. I mean, it's a brilliant concept. It's what DeFi was meant for, isn't it? Yeah. So you are your own bank, as the website said.
Absolutely.
So this is how I got into Hex and to the community. And then I missed out on the Pulsechain sacrifice totally because I haven't heard about it back in June 2021. But then the Pulsechain sacrifice, I was obviously there. So I managed to get in. And yeah, that's how I personally got into Hex. But obviously everybody has their own journey. And
awesome. No, it's awesome. I love that story. I love how you were able to learn about Hex from a YouTuber from Hungary. And it goes to show that there is this global phenomenon with Hex where it's not just Western Europe or America or it's a global phenomenon. And I find that to be telling about the future of this project, because you have individuals from all over the world highlighting the intricacies of this project. And I want to ask you then, tell us about the Hexagon community in Hungary. Like, how was it born and how does this happen exactly? Like, was there a way that this happened? How did it expand? How did this happen?
So I wasn't there at the born of the community because it has all started from a Telegram chat group. Okay. Which is still active, and Richard Hart is one of the admins of the Telegram chat group. Cool. But obviously, he's not active in the chat group, but he's one of the admins. But I just go back to the first question. I just want to add something to it that Hex is very, very gate capped, even in Hungary. So there's only one or maximum two YouTubers who are speaking about it, and the language barrier is just massive.
I'm sure.
So and that's why I decided, okay, let's run a YouTube channel, because I speak fairly good English, so I can translate the content into Hungarian. And so I decided, okay, I put my idea up in the Telegram group, and then we went. And then now we are here. And in terms of number of subscribers we are having, I know it's not massive. But if you think about the market we're hitting, the market isn't big either. So Hungarian language is like 10 million people in the world, whereas your market is 7 billion people. So it's totally different. You can't compare the two. So in terms of the number of subscribers, like you have 5,000, how does that compare to the largest American crypto YouTuber who has like 1 million? It's BitBoy Crypto, isn't it? He has around 1 million subscribers. I've done the maps before we jumped on the stream, and you are about 0.5% of his subscribers.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. And I'm not too far from that. I'm 0.8% of the biggest Hungarian crypto channel subscribers. So yeah, we are there in terms of numbers. It's just a different market to hit. That's why we have so low amount of subscribers. But since I first messaged you, we managed to gain 10%. So I think we are growing, and we are in a bear market. We are not even hitting a bull market. I can't imagine what's going to happen in the bull run in terms of attention. I think we're going to need a very, very hard and successful Pulsechain launch.
It's definitely not easy to grow in a bear market. There's no question. And I'll give you an example of this. I first got into Pulsechain about October of 2021. And what happened is I only had 500 subscribers, okay, at this time. And I did my first Pulsechain video, and my first Pulsechain video got 3.5K views. My second video got 5.8K views. And then my third video got almost 10,000. Now, mind you, this was back when I only had 700 subscribers at most. Now I have 5,100 or 52, whatever. I hadn't even checked. And I'm getting maybe, if I'm lucky, if it's a good topic, anywhere between 1,000 and 3,000 views. Like on average, I'm getting 500 to 700 views, because that's literally like bear market interest. No one cares. No one right now is focused. So it's very difficult to build in a bear market. There's no question about that. And I want to ask you this then. Is there, for what you've seen, is there a large presence of hexagons in Hungary? If there was one component of the protocol Hungarians find the most valuable, from what you've seen, what do you think it is and why?
The most important part of the protocol is DeFi. Is that this is trustless. This is just you and the smart contract. And that's what sold me the project as well, and the founder. And that the founder is like, okay, if you don't understand outrage marketing, go away. Then it's not your field to play. But if you manage to see behind the scene and you understand what outrage marketing actually does, then for example, if you go on Ryanair's Instagram page, they do sort of an outrage marketing, because they are being very, very harsh on their customers, and they post it on Instagram without any fear of losing customers. And they do that. So see, and this is where gatekeeping comes into the play. That yes, you might be doing outrage marketing. Other projects or other people might do the same thing, but it's Richard Hart, so we just bash him. And the community itself is not huge, but we have a few OGs who are helping us, who were like there at the very, very early days. And we have people who've been in crypto for like 6-8 years. And so they are part of the community. And I'm not the only one doing this YouTube channel. So we've got podcasts where we do just a community talk, what we might upload on our channel. And then we have another person doing the website for us. And then we have people who just walk around in Budapest, the capital of Hungary, doing hex stickers. So we've got quite a few things going on at the minute.
That's great. It's great to see that there are initiatives to build communities in different areas of the world. And there's groups of people that decide, I'm going to do this. I'm going to build this way. I'm going to interact with this community in this way. You need to be dynamic. You can't be stagnant in promoting a community and promoting a project, because then it gets boring. Then people lose interest. It's very difficult to garner interest in a bear market, and you have to be creative.
Yeah, and this is the time when we need to build. This is the time when we need to build. So when the bull market is back, we are here. We are ready. We already have the content. I mean, what are you interested of? T-shirts. Here you go. There's the video.
Exactly.
Done it a couple of months ago. Yeah, not a problem. So and yeah, language barrier is, to go back to that topic. It's a massive thing.
I can imagine.
Yeah. It's not easy to translate, especially when it comes to Hadron and Icosa. I'm still working on my Hadron and Icosa videos because it is a complex system, and I want to make sure that I myself understand it to a 100% level before I project it to the team and to the community. And I think people sometimes underestimate the power of community.
I agree.
I think they absolutely. Look at what happened to Zen. I mean, it was number one Ethereum fee burner for days. Now it's gone back down, but it was number one for days, and it still pulls down the Ethereum deflation. So yeah, community is it's not everything, but it's 50% of a project, I think.
I agree. I made a tweet about this last night, actually, and I said basically, I'm not excited for Hex because of the T-shares. I'm not excited because of the APY. I'm not excited because of Richard. The only reason why I'm excited for this project, not the only reason, but the main reason why I'm so excited for this project is because of its community and the value that community brings to a project. It doesn't matter if you have the most revolutionary technology on the planet. If you don't have a community, you don't have a company. If you don't have a consumer base, you don't have a product. If you don't have passion if you don't have passion in association to what you're doing, there's no value. There's no value in it. And seeing the Hex community grow, seeing the number of stakers grow, seeing new streamers pop up almost every other day is necessary and very, very nice to see, because you need that community to grow. And that's exactly my biggest excitement, is that the Hex community is growing consistently. And I want to ask you then, how has the Hungarian Hex community come together to onboard new hexagons in Central and Eastern Europe within Hungary?
So as I mentioned, it all come from the Telegram chat group and from that specific YouTube channel who mentioned Hex for the first time, who I heard it from. And basically from there onwards, everybody joined the Telegram group. And then we started to build this YouTube channel with the help of others. And as I said, our market is kind of limited in right. Hungary, because our Hungarian language is very, very limited. And so the countries around us, Slovakia, Poland, Czech Republic, they have their own Hex communities. And so they actually have Hex meetings as well. So there is one coming up, I think next week, maybe in Slovakia, for example. Awesome. Yeah, but the Hungarians itself, the language is very limited and the community is very limited. But we are working on it. We are doing the YouTube channel. We are active in the Telegram group. We are helping new people with their questions. Obviously, T-shares are not easy to understand. Hadron is not easy to understand, but we are there to help. We are there to help, and we are working on onboarding new people with both the Telegram group and with the YouTube channel, sharing it as many platforms as possible. I mean, you can download our podcasts from Apple, from Google, from Spotify, from Anchor FM. We are everywhere.
That's awesome. Hey, I'm going to say just because your language is very limited, you said your language is very limited with 10 million people. If you put it into perspective like this, for example, there's only about 105,000 stakers in Hex. So let's say you were able to onboard, 5,000 people. That's a substantial amount of people. I don't just because there's a condensed amount of people doesn't mean that there can't be a major impact as well. And I think that's very important for anybody who wants to start up a community, a hex community in a country that you may not expect, hexagons, or somewhere maybe in, like, I don't know, Belarus or Lithuania or Latvia. Like, all you need to get is a small community, and that community will expand and grow and help other communities grow. And that's what it's about. It's about creating a culture of hexagons in different nations and even subcultures, because the culture of hex in Hungary is going to be different than the hex community's culture in California. Yes. Or even in New York, for say. The different culture I saw when I went to Vegas was huge, because the West Coast is inherently different than the East Coast when it comes to culture, when it comes to slang, when it comes to different idiosyncrasies. So it really comes to a point that there has to be a cultural. I'm trying to figure out how I can put it. This cultural notion that needs to be built in different communities, in different countries, and no matter how many or how big or how little you onboard, the value is there. I mean, for example, like, I'm grinding in a bear market. There's 20 people watching right now. Like, if this was in the bull market, I bet you this live stream right now would have upwards of 60 to 100 people in it. It's not easy. And for it's not easy at all. So, and if you just keep grinding, man, I feel like the bull market will reward you in the end. And I want to ask you this. When onboarding new users into the Hex community in Hungary, what do you think is the biggest, let's just put it as a pitch, to new onboards to bring them into Hex? Like, what do you say? Like, how do people join this community?
Is that, okay, so when, obviously, to start to discover crypto, you need English language knowledge. Yes. And so if you start to look for content on Hex, what you're going to bump into? Scam, 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 scam. Yeah, it goes on and on and on. And this is the thing what catches out people. I know guys who are Hungarians, they're in crypto, but they turn down Hex because they say, okay, this is just not enough for them, or not good for them, or not something for them, because they don't look behind the scene. So right. That's the thing. You need to be able to not stop at Richard Hart, just look at his face and then you think, okay, that's it, I'm done. No, that's not the way. You do your own research and you make your own decisions. But it's very hard, because when people call it a scam, you can't really, you can't force people to take your advice. What you can do is you point them to a direction, and they either take your advice or they don't. And so this is the biggest catch in onboarding new people. But once they manage to understand it, then we are very helpful in the Telegram group. We have literally new people who are brand new to crypto. We help them. So we don't look at them awful only because I was new last year, and now I'm here sitting on a stream with yourself. I mean, how great is that? I think it's beautiful.
Absolutely. And it's all about how fast you want to learn, and it's how much desire you want to learn. And there's actually a really good question in the chat that I'm curious about, because I've heard different regulation in different countries that even pretty much keep people from streaming in different countries because of regulation. And Marty 5555 asks, what are crypto regulations like in Hungary?
So as far as I'm aware of, I can talk about projects, but it's never a financial advice. So it's in the video description that I'm not a financial advisor.
Of course.
But until I declare that I'm not a financial advisor, I can talk about projects. Obviously, I'm not offering them. And that's that. In terms of taxation, it's very good because you only pay 15%.
That's not bad.
So Hungary is great in terms of paying crypto tax. But I'm based in the UK, so I'm slightly different than others, because yeah, I'm in the UK, so
That's not
yeah.
bad.
So regulations, I think that they are busy with everything else, because if you look at the news, what's going on in Hungary, and we are sharing borders with Ukraine,
Yes.
and the stuff is happening there, it's not great, and so they are a lot more busy with that. That's for sure, and they are not paying really attention on the cryptoverse, what's going on here.
So it hasn't really affected. So basically, like the war in Ukraine, since you're basically, I believe you're southwest of Ukraine, southwest. Am I correct?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so southwest of Ukraine. So how is that? Is that like, how does that affect just the community in general? Not even just the Hex community, but has that created a sense of fear? Has that created a sense of
Yeah, the first couple of months were difficult, and obviously I'm 30 years old, 31. Sorry,
I'm 27?
yeah. So I've never seen a war. I've
Yeah.
never seen a war, and now it's next to our door.
Mm-hmm.
And so and our politicians are not helping the situation either, because okay, I don't want to go into politics or anything,
Of course.
but they are not helping the situation either. And so our economy is going down massive. I mean, think about that. Our currency is going down against the North Korean money.
Wow.
How sad is that?
That's very sad.
Our currency is going down against literally everything. You pick a country in, I don't know, Middle Africa, our money will go down against their currency. That's for sure. So the economical environment is not great.
That's surprising. You know what, though?
Inflation is about 20-something%.
Wow.
And that's the official declared inflation. So the real inflation, what you can see in the shops, is a lot more than that.
Figured as much. It's the same thing in England or UK. I'm so used to calling it England. UK, where they just came out, I think today, where the inflation rate was around 10%, which is a 40-year high. You have the inflation rate in America, which is not nearly as high, but they say it's around 8% in America, but that's bullshit. It's about
that's not.
It's about 15, 16 in my opinion. And this is the time where you see cryptocurrency. I don't want to call it, and this is not financial advice, I don't want to call it a hedge against inflation, because if you buy at the top and your bags are down 90%, that's not really a hedge against inflation. However, there are ways in cryptocurrency where you could make passive income on your money that you would not be able to do in a traditional legacy finance market. Yeah, it's just a fact. Staking your HEX, for example, or just staking any cryptocurrency, for example, and garnering rewards or liquidity or yield farming or anything like that. And again, I'm not advertising that. I'm not telling you guys, I'm not saying that to do that. But what I am saying is that compared to legacy finance, cryptocurrency, specifically HEX, can really help people for passive income, because that's what's needed right now with inflation. You need to find a way to make your dying currency go as far as you can. It's the God honest truth.
And even in a war situation, I mean, you don't need the luggage. You don't need to carry gold bars. You don't need to carry, I don't know, you don't need to fill your entire coat with cash.
Right.
If you have to run away. All you need to know is memorize your seed phrase.
Yep.
That's it. Off you go. You walk across the border, you find the first internet access, and you've got your money.
It's definitely an interesting situation where you guys are.
This is the future. This is the future. This has to be the future.
I agree. You see these token models that have 1,000 times better token model economic models than your traditional fiat currencies. And if you look at the history of fiat currencies, their average lifespan's around 50, 60 years, around there. And you're seeing the result of money printing now wreak havoc on the West, You're also seeing a massive.
It is literally sending countries down the sink.
Mm-hmm. You're seeing a crisis in China, even though they don't want to report on it, but they're having a housing crisis.
Yeah.
You're having crises in Europe where the EU's GDP is going down.
I live in the UK, so I see,
Yep.
I clearly see what's going on in England.
Yep.
It's not any better here.
I can imagine. I don't know what the prices of housing over there is, but where I live in New York, an average house is around about slightly north of $500,000. Then you're accounting for about anywhere between 5 and, depending on where you live, 16 grand in taxes a year. Gas prices on the East Coast are definitely not as bad as the West Coast. Gas prices right now, I know we're one of those weenies that use the imperial system. You guys use the metric. But it's the gas was going in my neighborhood. It was $2.85 a gallon for 2 weeks, and now it's $3.50 again. But on the West Coast, when I went to Vegas, it was like fucking $5.50 a gallon, and I know places in California where it's $7.
How come that's a big difference? It's one country. I mean, the difference is massive between East and West.
I wouldn't even be able to tell you why. That's a very good question. Albeit, I think one of it is state taxes. Good point. State tax for the gas. Yeah. So that's a good one. That's another reason. So
yeah, true.
Marty said, do you ever plan on leaving NYC? I do. Next bull run, I do, because NYC, Long Island, New York itself is just, it's too unbearable. And I even see people in Canada, like near Vancouver, that it's like $1.2 million for a shack. And it's just like, and the reason why we're bringing this up is not to talk about the horrors of modern economics, but it's to bring up that cryptocurrency has the potential to be able to, I don't know, at least somewhat remedy this unfortunate aspect that's occurring in our lives.
And banks will realize this. I mean, look at BlackRock. They already jumped on the ship.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of time, couple of years, until everybody else will on board, because people seeking growth, and they want the pumps. They want the pumps. That's how our economy was built from the beginning. That it's always up and to the right. That's how it was built. Yep.
And I can imagine how it's like where you are, where there's a war on your doorstep. That doesn't sound very fun at all. And I'm sure that has had the economy tanking as well. I'm sure that fear has created some sense of economic downturn by some means, at least.
Yeah.
So, and I do want to ask you this. You brought this up before, but I'm curious to hear you talk about it a little bit more in depth. What do you think when you onboard new users in Hungary and Eastern and Central Europe? What is the biggest turnoff or component that prevents people from joining the Hex community in Central and Eastern Europe, and why? Like, what's the cause here? Like, what's the cause people say no to you if you say, hey, you want to join crypto or Hex?
Well, crypto in general. So people are afraid of investing. At least.
Fair enough.
I've got a normal day job, so I'm just an average guy, and I don't talk to people at work about crypto, but I do ask them about, hey, what do you think about investing? And they say, no, man, we can't do that. That's dodgy. That's you can't control. I mean, we can't invest their well-earned money. If they would invest their money, they would buy a house. They would put their money down for deposit for a house, rather than invest the money now in the bear market and then laugh in the bull market. But they are afraid to do that, and there are only a very few people who are keen to listen, and even fewer people of this is keen to listen what Hex has to offer, because of the narrative, because of the FUD. what's creating, that's what's turning people down ultimately. Even if we explain, okay, look, it's not only Hex, it's Pulsechain, Pulsex. It's a vertical ecosystem. I mean, you don't just get one token or one coin.
Right.
You get the entire ecosystem is yours. You can use it. You can go on Pulsechain testnet. You can play around with your free tokens. But if they go home and they search the founder and they search on YouTube, they search on Google, and they see FUD, scam, then they're gonna be just turned off. Apart from the ones who look behind and manage to understand, okay, this is a little bit more than than what we thought. Because when I first looked into Hex, I came across with the same narrative.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought, okay, if so many people are saying this is bad, that this must be something. There must be something. If too many people is saying for something that, no, don't do this, this is bad. That's my nature. That's how I am. Then I look into it. Then I find out why people saying for this specific project that it might be bad for me. So this is what turning people off. And the other fact is that nobody's talking about it. Not even in. So I can see both the English and the Hungarian channels. Hungarian channels, 1 or 2 YouTubers plus us. And then English channels, yes, the Hex community is huge in the US. In terms of YouTubers, you guys are out there. You're doing your daily streams, which are brilliant. I think you are doing excellent job in onboarding new people, and not just onboarding new people, but getting the word out there. And you're doing these Twitter campaigns where you just pump the hashtags like crazy. Like I love them. We used to participate in them all the time. But yeah. And I can see the comments. Patrice from Paris says most people think of crypto as of trading.
Yeah, and then
True,
Marty said Marty said the same thing.
I first thought of crypto as it was trading, but no, it's investing. It's invest. I to be honest, I am so much not interested in shorting and longing and leverage trading. I don't even know what is shorting. I don't even know what is longing, because I'm not interested in general.
There you go.
I just want to buy my coin, stake it, forget about it. That's it.
And I'll be honest with you, in New York, you have such stringent regulations when it comes to even leverage trading or futures trading. I don't even think I'm able to do that on a lot of my exchanges. Like Marty says, when I try to talk to people at work about crypto, they think I'm crazy.
Same.
And we have and you know what the funny part is? We probably have more stringent regulations in New York than where you are. I can only use I can use DEX exchanges, obviously. I can only use Coinbase, I can use Gemini, and I can use Qcoin and CoinX. I can't use Binance, can't use Binance US, I can't use Kraken, can't use BTC.
We are lucky with that. We can use everything.
Yep, can't use. It's very difficult. I can't use crypto.com. It's very difficult to onboard people in New York. It's very, very difficult, because basically, like, if I explain someone, there's a coin called Hex, and well, the thing is, Pulseformer, if I get a VPN, technically I can use some of these exchanges, but a lot of them require KYC. So I there's that too, sadly, unfortunately. So,
not great.
No,
not
it sucks because
this has to change.
Exactly.
And only regulation can change this. I mean, I think crypto needs regulation, because that's how major money can come into the crypto sphere, and that's how everyday people can accept the fact that crypto is real, and that they don't need to be afraid to use it.
Exactly. But brother, I'll explain. Like in May of 2021, I cashed out. And I had to use an exchange called SimpleSwap, because the coin I was trying to sell was not on any exchange that I could use. and I had to use a product called Simple Swap, which was basically me sending my coins to an address where a bot would sell it and then send me the coin that I wanted. And it was terrifying, and I'll tell you why. I did a couple of transactions. I did about 5 transactions. I did 1 big transaction, went through fine. Did 3 small ones, did fine. And I was like, you know what, screw it. Let me just do the rest. And I did it, and I get a message saying, where'd you get this money from? We're holding this money unless you can prove to us that this money is yours. And I was having like a heart attack, because I was like, I have to literally now backtrack and prove to these people. And they're like, well, you're in America, you can't use this exchange, so we're going to blacklist your address, but we're going to send your money. I'm like, oh my God, thank God. And these are the things that keep people from coming in, because onboarding people is so damn tedious. So if I say to someone, hey, did you hear about Hex? How do I get into it? Okay, so now you're going to make a Coinbase account. Then you got to buy USDC. Then you got to go on MetaMask. Then you got to use Uniswap. Then you got to swap it. Then you got to revoke your token approval so you're not at risk. Then you also got to buy a ledger. Like, the amount of hop, skips, and jumps that people don't want to do it. And I think
this has to simplify. This has to simplify.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does. And I've been in crypto since 2017, and I've seen very, very little simplification in this space. Very little. If anything, it's gotten worse, because in 2017 I could use Bitfinex. In 2017 I could use Binance. I could use Bittrex. I could use HitBTC. And then in 2018 I couldn't use any of them. I remember I held a coin called IOTA in 2017, and I had IOTA on Bitfinex, and I was at work, and the exchange was closing at 5 p.m. EST, and I got my IOTA off at 4:54 p.m. But that's the thing. Like and I'm sure you guys have similar issues in Hungary, where, if I say, hey, if you say to someone, or your community says, hey, I want to onboard, and then they got to go through 7 hoops to invest $100, and by the time they pay gas, it's 70. It's like,
as someone mentioned in the comments, Richard Hart is planning an onboarding fiat on and off ramp for Pulsechain. I hope that's gonna help. And also the guys at Weight token, 0xweight.com, they're doing something on fiat on and off ramping as well. So we need that. And to be honest, this multiple blockchains, like, you can send USDC on ETH, but you can send USDC on Binance, and then you can send USDC. Like, how the hell is that? Confusing. Very confusing. At first, you need to get technical. You need to get your hands dirty, and this might be too much for some people. They just want. They would rather say, okay, here's my money. If you think that you are that clever, here's my money. Take it, invest it. But I'm not doing that, obviously. But I bumped into this as well. That, hey, if you're that clever, here's, I don't know, $100. Go on, invest it. But I said no, because it's your money, your knowledge, your risk. And you need to understand where your money goes, not me.
I agree. And I really, you brought something up before that I actually wanted to bring up. You said that many people are very resistant on joining Hex because of the constant narrative that it's a scam. Now, I'm very grateful of all the streamers and all the people on Twitter and TikTok that are trying to promote this coin and not promote, but give it a new narrative. But there is something that is also nullifying that narrative that's really been pissing me off lately. And it's the constant petty quarrels on Twitter, that if I was an outsider looking in and I saw these grown men fighting over, I don't know which toenail they clipped wrong, like, it's absurd. It really is. It's honestly fucking pathetic. And if I saw this from an outside lens and I was a really concerned investor who really wanted to put decent amount of money in, or even if it's a small amount of money, doesn't matter, and I saw that amount of quarreling and disagreements, I wouldn't touch it. And that needs to stop. There needs to stop where everyone gets mad about what everyone does with their money. If someone in the Hex community has Hex, but then wants to look into another project, that should be okay. If people
Yes,
are looking to
absolutely.
review different projects on Pulsechain, that should be okay. Like, I think it's very juvenile, to be honest with you, and I don't think that it's getting us where we need to be, especially for the next bull run when you're trying to onboard people, and all you see is quarrels and fighting.
I mean, look at what happened to Zen.
Exactly.
Some Hexicans started to look into Zen and started to create video about them. And then what happened? The whole community got divided, and it's not great. And even we have long chats about Zen, whether is it good, is it not good, is it waste of time, is it not? I'm neutral when it comes to Zen. I'm neither bullish nor bearish on it. I minted on a few wallets just in case, so I have it. But then that's it. If you don't like it, move on. Easy.
Exactly. It's that simple.
On our channel, we talk about Pulsechain and Hex related projects only, but because this area is not covered by any other YouTube channel.
Yep.
But me personally, I'm not a maximalist. I'm open to other projects, other ideas. But my main holdings are gonna be Pulse and Hex related holdings. Yes. But do I look into something else? Of course I do, because you have to be open. That's how you keep that's how you keep yourself alive in this. I don't think we live in a world where you can turn down offers like airdrops and stuff.
Yeah. And like, for example, like you bring up Zen. There are so many streamers in the Hex community that have done so much for Hex that are getting now massive flack and getting attacks against them. Not going to name who they are, but there are community members that have done a lot for Hex, and the people complaining about them have done basically nothing in regards to expanding the word of this community. And, you know, sometimes there are streamers out there that want to bring up a project that may not perform very well, and it may not be intentional. And I'm speaking about Zen right now. Zen is not performing well at all. But you know what? It's important for our community members and our YouTubers to be very diverse in their content, because the way that you onboard new people is you bring new members from different communities into this ecosystem. I say this a lot, that if you just wanted a Hex mentality, that launching a layer 1 should have never happened, because you're going to have a shitload of projects launching on Pulsechain, and those people may not care about Hex. It's the God's truth. They may not care about Hex, and that should be okay. This is a layer 1. This is again, it was made to make the fees cheaper for Hex, but you launched a layer 1. Like, you're launching a layer 1 with 130 projects. Now, granted, a lot of these projects are paying homage to Hex, but when Pulsechain launches in a year or two from now, let's say a project comes in that could be very, very bullish for the chain, are you going to turn it away simply because it's not focused on Hex? I think that would be kind of antithetical.
For example, I've seen narrative about Pulsepot, now BNB Pot, that they launched another chain, and it's brilliant. It's going to bring in new people to Pulsechain. It's going to launch on AVAX. It's going to launch on Phantom. It's going to launch on Polygon, and it's going to launch on Pulsechain.
Yep.
So I think it's brilliant.
Exactly.
And you shouldn't just, as you said, we are launching a layer 1. So layer 1 will be full of projects, and maybe 95% of them is not going to be Hex related in any form or shape. We can't always launch another Hadron or Icosa.
Of course. And that's why, like, this is, if the future is really multi-chain, then isolationism of communities is going to die out. It really is. It may not be now. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be a year from now. But if the future is really multi-chain, you can't really be an individual that advocates for one specific entity, because if you do, you're basically fighting your own bags. And there are multiple projects on Pulsechain. Marty, actually, it's funny you say that, because I'm actually supposed to be having Gunther on, Wolverine, on the 23rd to discuss Pulse Bitcoin. So we'll get down and gritty to that as well. But you need to be able to understand that if the future is multi-chain, these dApps that launch on Pulsechain are not just going to be on Pulsechain. Like, I know other projects that are launching on Pulsechain that are also going to launch on BNB. They're going to launch on Ethereum. If the future is multi-chain, you can't attack these projects for doing that.
No, you can't. And I think Zen is great for new people who just want to experience around with crypto.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the other narrative is true that, hey, if you want to play around with tokens which have technically no value,
mm-hmm.
you just go on the Pulsechain testnet and you play. So there is truth on both sides, and we don't want to be the ones deciding.
Exactly.
This should be up to the people, and this should be just as decentralized as Pulsechain itself is. If someone wants to do something, go ahead and do it. You don't need to get permission from the community to talk about a project if you want to.
So, it's definitely an interesting perspective, where I think personally, I just really wish that the community was a bit more open to new projects, because if they're not, then I don't know how this. I don't know how. I know it's growing pains, and it's a very different scenario now. But I just hope that when Pulsechain launches and we see the value of new projects, and of course scams are going to come in, of course failed projects are going to come in, of course projects that are not going to do anything great are going to not work out. But at the same time, there are some projects that are going to come in and make Pulsechain very successful, and they're not going to be RH projects. And that's something that people need to understand and accept. So I want to say, we're almost in here for an hour, and I want to say this was a very good and honest stream about onboarding, about macro issues, about what we can see grow in the Hex community and the Pulsechain community. And all I want to say for the people who are watching this is, if you liked what John said, please consider following the Hungarian Hex Community Podcast on Twitter. I have the link in the description. I also have the Hungarian Hex link tree in the description. So if you want to join any of their socials or be part of their socials, please consider doing so. Also, if you like this video and what we discussed, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting on this video. And please consider donating to the channel through super chats and super likes. It does help the channel financially. It really does. And I want to say I really am grateful for this honest discussion, and I really hope to see the Hungarian Hex community grow.
Thank you very much for having me on tonight. Yeah, please, guys, if you throw a follow on Twitter, that helps me a lot. On Twitter, I share English language content as well, so you can follow me for normal Hex and Pulsechain related updates, because I post everything instantly as they happen. Unfortunately, I'm on my phone 24/7, but I think you need to do that to keep up with all the news and all the updates, because there's so much happening. Like right now, the BNB pod update and the Pulse Bitcoin update, which I haven't even looked into yet. But yeah, it was a great talk. Yeah,
it's fantastic. And I think the last question here, Marty asks, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts, and then we'll end this. How do you think RH outrage marketing is viewed in Hungarian culture? That's actually a really good question.
It's very similar to how the English community or the English culture looks at it. So if you are intelligent enough to understand marketing and the nitty-gritties of marketing, and you are able to put this to one side, and then just accept the fact that, okay, this is a marketing technique, but there is a project. These are the fundamentals of the project, this and this and this. These are the fundamentals of the project. And then the project will be massive. It will be the first ever Ethereum 2.0 fork. What can be better than that?
Absolutely.
And if they don't buy into this narrative, they got stuck at the front wall, just seeing the Louis Vuittons and the I don't know what, then that's it. Bad luck. Goodbye.
There you go.
It's very, very similar to the English culture, same, or the US culture.
Honest answer. And thank you for answering that question before we conclude. John, I really hope to have you on again. This was a great stream. We had a decent viewership. We had about 37 people at the height. So I'm really hoping people subscribe to Hungarian Hex Community Podcast and follow. I'm trying to invite him. I don't think I'm big enough yet. We'll see. But I appreciate the time today, John. Thank you. I'll add time.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Corey. Thank you. Nice to speak to you.
Of course. Be well, guys, and I'll see you in the next stream tomorrow. Be well, guys.
Bye.